I'm not sure how many of you are aware of the new Orphan Works bill that's before Congress right now. This bill, if passed, would take all your rights away from your own work unless you pay to protect them. At the moment, once you create something, it's automatically yours without having to do anything. But if these laws change, you'll have to pay to protect anything you make. From a sketch, a painting, a photo, a sculpture, a video, or even a song, and any other creative endeavor that you may make on your own. So in essence, even though you make the work yourself, it's not considered commercially yours unless you pay money to actually own the rights. And this is just another way to hurt the little guy and help the major corporations. This will allow them to commercially use your work without any compensation to you. And most people can't afford to protect every single thing they ever create. And what this will do is make anything you release online up for grabs if you don't want to pay the fee to register it. The details of this bill are unbelievable. If this passes, anything you do is virtually up for grabs. And I've included a few minutes from a telephone interview about this law to get an idea of what's going on. Let me tell you a little bit about law. Whoever has the most money and resources usually wins. So let's put it this way. If you have a dispute against Disney, GE, or Microsoft, who do you think has the upper hand? If they were to use your works, what are you going to do about it? And more importantly, what can you do about it? I can't emphasize this enough. If you make any videos, music, or even drawings and paintings, your rights to your own work are being decided on right now. I put a link to the website to the right of the video, as well as a full interview so you can hear in greater detail what's going on right now. So if you want to help protect your work, please share this with other video makers, musicians, and artists, so you can help fight against this new proposal. So please rate and comment this video and others like it, so other people can be aware of what's going on.
In the process, we happened to be set up when the government introduced this Orphan Works legislation about 3 years ago. So we've taken the initiative in trying to explain what the bill is, how it's going to affect artists, and what we can do to try to stop it or change it in such a way that it doesn't damage visual artists, which, as it is now structured, is going to do.
But for those who are not familiar with the term Orphan Works, how could you describe that to them?
It's a misnomer. That's the first way to describe it. It is not what it appears to be. It is, in effect, a Trojan horse. Let me explain this as simply as I can. Under current copyright law, everything you do, from a finished painting to a sketch in your sketchbook to your family snapshots, home videos, the doodles on the margins of your books, anything you do that is creative is protected by copyright from the moment you create it, whether it is registered or not. The days when you had to put a copyright C on it and sign your name and register it with the Copyright Office for protection disappeared 30 years ago with the introduction of the 1976 Copyright Act. That was an attempt to harmonize the United States with international copyright, which doesn't require registration of any kind. Now, there's a caveat. In current copyright law, you can't get statutory damages for infringement unless the work is registered with the Copyright Office. Mm-hmm. But basically, you have, shall we call it, passive copyright protection from the moment you do a picture, whether you register it or not. Under this Orphan Works legislation, nothing you do would be protected. Not a single thing. Not a sketch, not a finished picture, not a snapshot, not a home video. Nothing you do would be protected unless you registered it with a commercial registry. Now, these commercial registries don't even exist. The idea is they're going to change the law, in a sense, orphaning everything that you have ever done or that you ever will do unless you register the work with these so far non-existent registries, which they expect the private sector to pop up and supply.
So we have to pay to own our own work?
Yes. In effect, it would literally orphan every work that you've ever done, including work that you've registered with the Copyright Office over the last 30 years. If you had already sent a registration to the Copyright Office and registered your work under this Orphan Works bill, you'd still have to register it again with a commercial registry.
Either they'll also lose money from unlicensed use of their work, which will leave them less money to hire us,
right,
or they'll just take our work and consider orphan and not pay us. Either way, we're the ones who are losing out.
Small companies will be hurt. Large companies like Disney. Is there anybody in the world who doesn't recognize a Disney character? Has Disney put out anything in the last 70 years that doesn't have a great big copyright Walt Disney Productions on it? Big corporations are well prepared to deal with the bill, and in fact, as you indicated, a lot of them will be using Orphan Works. Google has already said they plan to use millions of Orphan Works when the works are available to them. And remember, each time someone orphans one of your pictures by putting it out there, that is now an entire family tree of orphans that can be picked up and used again by other people.
It's such a spin job on this for their own gains.
Remember that it was written by a group of academic Marxists who believe that somehow authorship has been highly overvalued over the years, that the community really creates your work. Let's say you go out and draw a tree. According to the academics who wrote this law, that tree is somehow, that your drawing of that tree is somehow owed to all the artists who ever came before you, and so therefore it should be public property after you have a license on it for a couple of years.
Well, here's my argument against that, because that's basically saying that there's no value to the intrinsic value to the artwork. Well, if there's no intrinsic value, no one else would want it. And by virtue of the fact that they're trying to change the law so everyone can have it, that tells you that there's an intrinsic value.
Bingo.
And of course, that has value.
You've hit exactly the point we've been making over the last couple of years. They're trying to argue that unless you register the work, it proves you have no commercial interest in it, and therefore it should be public property. And my argument has been exactly what you just made, that if somebody wants to use it, it has value ipso facto. So therefore, I do have a commercial interest in it. You know, let's say you've got 1,000 pictures, 10,000 pictures you've never registered, including sketches in your sketchbook. They may never be worth anything to you, but if somebody wants it, what are you going to do? Say, oh, you can have it for free? Well, you might. It's up to you to decide. But if somebody wants it and they have, and it's a commercial client of some kind, well, of course you're going to ask for money. I did a book jacket for Frank Herbert, one of the Dune trilogy back in, I don't know, the 80s sometime, when it came out as a book. Mm-hmm. Well, no one's asked for use that picture for years. But all of a sudden somebody wanted to republish one of the Dune books and they wanted to use it again. So suddenly it had value again. What am I going to do? Did I have to register that work because somebody might want to use it again sometime? According to the Orphan Works bill, I would have to.